The lineage has traditionally in Bollywood been between the father and the son. So the father is a producer, the son could be a star. The father is a star, the son could be a producer. For decades on end, and up until a couple of decades ago, or perhaps a decade ago, people from film families did not send their daughters or their wives to work in the movies. One, what does that mean in terms of why do you think that was the case? Because all the heroines mostly have been outsiders in that sense. Why do you think they chose not to do it?
It's something very hurtful, and it's something very, if I say in a very upfront way, it might just made very severe headlines. So I try and be
Go for it, Kangana.
I try and be as, I'd say as soft I can be. But I think it comes from the deep-rooted patriarchal mindset where, you know, the way one treats a woman and the way one sees a woman, you know, it reflects in his relationship with his daughter or his wife. And, you know, like in the world of glamour and the world of opportunities, we all know that, you know, being in this, you know, amazing, it's almost like a fantasy land. It's almost like a, you know, to be in a film business or to be in any show business for that matter is, you know, it's full of magic, it's full of epiphanies, it's full of creativity, neurotic artists and opportunities, and above everything, it's full of that magic which overnight changes everything and makes life, you know, turns ordinary into extraordinary, extraordinary into fantastic, and fantastic into tragic. You know, it has that extraordinary power to it. So yes, it's a land of opportunities, and you meet people and you have these endless opportunities. But when we see a man do that, we don't find anything wrong in this, you know, to have multiple sort of, you know, opportunities, to be a millionaire, have multiple mating partners, and you know, so just go about living your life like a maverick. But when it comes to a woman, you know, there's a strong sense of guilt that comes along with it. You know, for a man, it's unbelievable, you know, that how a man perceives his own, you know, sexual life and the woman that, you know, maybe he's dating or are, you know, I think it's always assumed that sex for a woman is actually something, something of, you know, a kind of tragic for them, right? So I think, is there a brawl outside? Okay, yeah, sorry, I got distracted. So I think I know a lot of people who, you know, who are being very protective of their women, and it's all about keeping them away from you know, a lot of you know, a lot of men or opportunities or glamour, because why? They're going to get swayed with it, they're going to have affairs, and men are going to treat them badly. Basically, men are going to have sex with them. So having sex for a man is something which is about having fun and living a good life. But for a woman, it's something which is, you know, like doing some sort of, you know, like a bad thing to them. So that is how a man perceives, you know, the life in glamour world. They openly say this, you know, that when it's an affair of their son, you will hear so many men brag about it, you know, that my son is this, you know, is this
the Casanova.
Casanova, and what will he do in his youth, you know, and if not have these multiple affairs. They openly talk about it, but when it comes to their girls, you know, there are restrictions, and they flaunt that. How dare my girl is going to date anyone? How dare my girl is getting into films, and people are going to see her wear mini skirts? And these are these petty reasons. I mean, I wouldn't want to, I wish it was anything else, but these are the petty reasons, that my girl is going to wear bikini, but I don't mind having 15 bikini-clad women around me, or my son. It's as petty as it is. I mean, it sounds stupid, but you can have so many, you know, like you would know, there's so many examples of that, and they're quite open about it, and they feel it's very manly to have these kind of values, not really values, but these sort of feudal ideologies, and to flaunt it like that. and it's making our society even more regressive, even more feudal and chauvinistic, these sort of, and it does stem out of it that, like a great family of, like this film business, son will make, and this happens in many smaller industries as well. It's a common fact that, I don't want to name superstars because I'm not sure, but someone's daughter decided to be an actress and fans committed suicide. Fans committed suicide. And the son is, of course, is the reigning superstar, but the daughter decided.
Fans committing suicide would have to be south of India, no?
Yes, south of India.
Sure.
Yeah. So they committed suicide that the daughter of the house will wear a mini skirt. How would that happen, and how is that even possible? So this is the psyche of our culture, and this is how the masses. This is what a woman is, just an object, and it's very unfortunate that there is that's all.
But you see that changing though, because from like the early 2000s onwards, you do see a lot of women from film families actually entering films. And so do you think the film industry has changed? Do you think the psyche of those families have changed? What do you think has led to that change?
Well, I think most probably the society in itself, I think initially to begin with, our cinema was extremely premature, and the way exactly, the way the industry was, it wasn't, this sort of flourishing business proposition. But how it became, I think, more progressive, more people decided to, sort of get into it, and that's how times that films have come a long way, right? They have come from being very primitive to fairly, I'll say we are not yet there, and I'm not sure if we will ever be, but yeah, we have come.
You mean less shady people in the films?
Sorry?
Less shady people in the movies also?
Well, see, also film business has many levels to it, right? Like there are all kind of cinemas.
Right.
There are, so I can't really guarantee that.
Sure.
But it's definitely, I don't think like, it's definitely a business where a lot of people, educated people, and and the ones who are, who are sort of, who understand the business for what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the other diktat when it comes to the heroine in Bollywood, Kangana, has always been that marriage was always seen as a retirement plan. The reason you get married is because you're done with show business, because that's a one-way street. And of course, a lot of them actually made comebacks much later, but a lot of water had flown under the bridge. Do you see that? Because in fact, you yourself, at some level, have been a huge beneficiary of that. Your first film, Gangster, Chitrangada Singh was supposed to play that part right until the end. Then she gets married. Then the husband says, you will not work in movies. So there's a slot ready. You have a week to go. You get a passport, and you get your debut film. You've actually benefited from that. Do you think that tag of being a married person and therefore losing out on so-called fan base, because this was also true for male stars back in the day. Govinda hid the fact that he was married. I think even Amar hid the fact that he was married when he entered films. Do you think that's finally going though? And it's about the artist?
Of course. I think a lot has changed, from those days where people really cared about someone's marital status or, someone's age. A lot has changed for that matter. So, yeah, I don't think it's of any consequence anymore. But there is definitely a section of the society who is, who do, like an older woman is always, referred to as this, like there's always mocking women for being older, and when you're young, you're mocked for being young.
Sure.
So that's there, but it has definitely changed, and we can see the change around us. But I think just for last few years, 4-5 years, and before that, I think many women were just forced to leave the industry, even though they looked the same. Right. Even though there was no change in their appearance, but they were just not accepted anymore.
Right, because earlier in the year, I think it was around January, you announced that you're going to get married this year. It's what, 2 months or 3 months left? Yeah. Like, are you getting invitation cards soon?
Yeah, most definitely.
Really? You actually getting married in the next 3 months?
Well, we'll talk about that at
We'll
some other
talk about it
time.
later. We'll talk about your career. Kangana, we started with Gangster, of course. But I have an interesting story with regards to you. And this is, I think, 2012. You'd invited me to your birthday party. I don't know if you remember. This was in...
Of course, I remember.
In
Or
Olive,
else,
in
yeah.
Bandra. Very sober affair, very nicely done, friends, some media people. And it was what you would call a small birthday party, as birthday parties should be. Then 2014, Queen happens. Thank you for not inviting me to your birthday party that year. But I saw the pictures, and absolutely the entire Bollywood A-list was lined up outside your house, Amitabh Bachchan onwards. That's how things turn in show business. What does something like that teach you about the world in general and showbiz in particular?
Like I said, Mayank, there is a fantastic quality to this world, when especially the field of art, it can make you, these extreme circumstances sometimes can make you a bit, it's a bit unsettling,
Sure.
to go from one extreme to the other, and once if you've sort of tasted that sort of shift, it's very hard to come back to the ordinariness of life,
Right.
So that's true, and I don't know if I am a recipient of that sort of, magic and that sort of, shift, or I am a victim of it. Because you never know, because sometimes it just feels that it hits you so suddenly that you're just never ready for it.
Right.
So whether it's long, never-ending struggle, and then the extreme success of being in a film which has, in a way, changed a lot of things in the industry, not just in your life. So yeah, these kind of extreme circumstances can be very hard to deal with.
Can fame be a drug, though? Something that you would crave if you didn't find it?
Well, to my surprise, what happens is when success, success often, comes when you stop to hope for it. Or
Really?
you don't, yeah. When you're not anticipating it, and it hits you like something has, hit you in your head, and very hard to come to terms with it.
Right.
And the initial reaction is of rejection. You don't want to accept it because you don't know what to do with it. And by the time you get used to it, it's gone.
No, what is fascinating about you, Kangana, is that you finish a film like Queen, and the first thing you do is apply for a student's visa. And then you move to the US to study screenwriting in New York. Why would you do that? I have two, possible multiple choice answers for you. One, is it the fact that your career will be much longer regardless of what roles you get if you're a filmmaker, because you can continue to express yourself and not wait for someone to offer you a role. Or second, you actually wanted to collaborate in the process itself while being an actor and to actually learn the craft.
I think both are the same things,
Sure.
aren't they? Like, yeah, I want to be more collaborative because, being in Queen and to have